let's just take a moment to harmonize our hearts. So just drop into your heart center and feel the meaning of each of these words as we repeat them together. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Well, happy Sunday, everybody. I'm so glad that you're joining us on this beautiful spring day to find spirit in each and every person and situation that crosses our paths. You know, NTNC is a part of Centers for Spiritual Living, which is an organization that teaches spiritual principles and practical tools for better living based on the science of mind and spirit and other New Thought philosophies. And we used to say that these philosophies were the best of a best-kept secret. But we have really grown into a leading-edge worldwide spiritual organization that is poised with the teaching and the tools to take humanity into a new paradigm of consciousness. And we, as students and practitioners of this philosophy, are invited to demonstrate this consciousness in our lives, in our centers, in our communities, and in the world. And to do so, we must rise up. The theme for this month is Holy, Holy Uprising. And so let's just enter into that energy of rising up. Let's rise up to realize the truth about who we are, about life and the way it works. And let's keep rising up to these realizations every day in every situation that we encounter. You know, we live in such a complex world, and some days it feels like we are the hunter, and other days it feels like we're the prey, just like Jimmy sang about. But every day we face complex issues and questions that arise from the thoughts and ideas that we hold about life. Because we're made up of our thoughts and ideas, and they inform each of our experiences about everything from whether it's okay to wear brown shoes with black pants to the thoughts that form our political affiliations, what we think about the social and cultural issues that we face every day, such as racism and sexism, climate change, ending gun violence, reducing poverty and homelessness, ensuring our children's health and safety and education, and increasing health and well-being for all people. I mean, that's a lot, right? And that's not even probably half of what we think about in a day. I mean, no wonder so many of us are stressed out. These are important issues, and how we think about them and ultimately how we act on them have big impacts, not only on ourselves, but on others and on the world that we live in. In all that we encounter, in all of that, we encounter other people who hold different views on these issues that are so important to us. And sometimes that can lead to thinking of those people as the other. But what we know from these New Thought teachings, this New Thought consciousness, is that there is no other. Science of Mind teaches the principle of oneness, which says that there is one infinite reality. We call it many names, including but not limited to God, life, universal spirit, infinite intelligence, first cause, or the thing itself. The one infinite reality is undivided, complete, and whole within itself. This oneness creates everything out of itself and therefore includes both the absolute and relative, tangible and intangible, physical and metaphysical aspects of reality. That's a lot of words, but what it means for us is that our true nature is divine. We are made of pure spirit and contain within ourselves the seed of its perfection. The source of our intelligence, our wisdom, is the infinite universal intelligence of spirit. However, even though we are spiritual beings, we are having a human experience. And as such, in our ignorance of our true nature, in our forgetting of our true nature, And with our misuse of our understanding of how life works, we can bring about suffering for ourselves and other people. We create this suffering in many ways. We create it by thinking of those who hold differing beliefs as other. We create suffering by passing judgment on them, by believing that those who hold differing beliefs are in some way immoral. Ernest Holmes wrote a lot of really great books, and one of them is called It's Up to You. And in it, he writes that the moral person is the one who regulates their life by the code they respect, not by devising penalties for those who have a different view. Now, that's kind of a bummer. I don't know about you, because I can think of all kinds of folks I view as the other and want to devise penalties for right now. All because I think their views on issues that are important to me differ from mine. But then I read some writings of Ernest that burst my little bubble of vitriol, like this one, which is also from It's Up to You, that says, "We claim to believe that God is all, and therefore the only life in every individual. This being true, God is as much the life of the person who thinks the exact opposite of our belief as God is our life." God is as much the life of the person who thinks the exact opposite of our belief. Well, that just makes me want to hang my head. Dang. You mean I have to let go of my prejudice and recognize that God is in those people? I have to let myself be called to a higher consciousness? Sometimes it's so trying being a spiritual person, right? Even if I'm having a human experience. As our awesome practitioner Brooke Minkle likes to say, spiritual growth, yay! Another writer, I couldn't find the name for this person, says that there is only one God. We search after God in different ways. We use different words in our talk about God. But there is only one unity at the end. Diversities of human temperament we recognize, and diversities of mental habit. Diversity there must be. It makes for the richness and the interest of life. But when God is turned to as origin and sustainer of life, the focus and first and last necessity of life, essential unity underlies all diversity. As spiritual beings, even though we're having a human experience, we strive to heal suffering. We strive to bring peace, love, joy to others and to the world. We strive to find that unity amidst our diversity. And sometimes this can be hard to do. You know, I think that sometimes when we get into all of the good, all of the happiness, all of the well-being that we teach in Science of Mind, we begin to tend to think that only the people in situations that are nice, happy, and feel good are the ones that are filled with God. But what about those people in situations that are hard to deal with, that are angry, that are painful, that induce stress and fear in us? How do we see God in those whose thoughts, which can be expressed in their behavior and actions, differs from ours? I mean, if all is God, aren't they God too? How do we find God in the middle of a situation that pulls us into fear, the loss of employment and income that provide our food and shelter, a life-threatening health issue, the death of a loved one? If all is God, can't we find God in those situations too? I think that that's what we're called to do. We're called to rise up and heal the suffering. And so we rise up and we heal suffering, and we bring more love, more light to the world by remembering what God is, that God is a force of love, and that all that is good, it's a force more powerful than any person, idea, condition, or issue that we can ever encounter. And I know, at least for me, it's a huge comfort to remind myself that God is right where I am at all times. So when I find myself in a situation that is causing me to feel fearful or upset, I find some calm in remembering that God is right in the middle of it with me. And that when I turn to God, to Spirit, to that force of love, I will find peace and a way to handle whatever is happening, knowing that I'm backed by a power greater than whatever caused my fear or anger in the first place. We are called to rise up to heal suffering and to bring more love to the world by remembering our true nature, that we are children of the divine. We're here to express all of the goodness that Spirit is. We are called to align with our spiritual nature, which is the truth of who we are. And as we begin to see ourselves from that truth of our being, then we experience an inner life that is bigger, that's more real than our external circumstances. And therefore, our external circumstances must change to accommodate our new view of life and the situation or the person. We're called to rise up to heal suffering and to bring more love to the world by allowing Spirit to work for us, by working through us, by continuing to evolve our own consciousness toward ever greater expressions of good, toward more love, more peace, more joy, more wisdom for ourselves, and even, maybe even especially, for those that we see as other. I have this practice that helps me stay in this consciousness during the day when I remember to practice it. When I'm driving, I send a blessing to every person in the cars that pass. I remember that they too are God. I usually don't know any of them. Sometimes I do, and I smile and wave. But, regardless, it makes me feel better knowing that I have, one, raised my own consciousness by sending more love into the world, and two, raised the consciousness of the whole planet. Because when I raise my own vibration, it raises the vibration of the whole. We call that raised consciousness. But believe me, when I do that, it's much better than the space that I often get into when I'm driving, which is one of frustration with other drivers who drive too fast or too slow, or who block the left lane, or who just generally drive like they're in a trance. You ever see those people that just drive like this down the street? They never see what's going by. They never look before or behind. Drives me nuts. Anyway, so there's a lot of blue words in the car when that's happening. So then I try to turn my practice to sending blessings, trying to raise my own vibration and the vibration of others. You might give it a try. It's kind of fun. We rise up to heal suffering and to bring more love to the world by deepening in our spiritual practices. The spiritual practice that I just mentioned, the spiritual practices of prayer, of affirmations, meditation, of gratitude. These are all spiritual practices that expand our consciousness so that we can bring more light into our lives and therefore into the world. So just join me, if you will, in a short exercise. Sit back, get comfortable, close your eyes, relax your muscles, and take a few deep breaths. In with the good air, out with the bad, as I like to say. Just imagine yourself experiencing complete physical and emotional wellness and inner peace. Imagine feeling perfect love for yourself, thanking yourself for all that you are, knowing that you are just right, just as you are right now. Take a breath Focus on this feeling of inner peace and imagine that you are breathing out tension, fear, and anxiety, and breathing in feelings of love, peace, well-being, and joy. And just repeat these phrases with me. May I be happy. May I be safe. May I be healthy, well, peaceful, and strong. May I see God in every person and situation that I encounter today and every day. Now turn to someone who you're with, or bring someone who you love, or maybe someone with whom you're in conflict to mind. And repeat it this way. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be healthy, well, peaceful, and strong. May you see God in every person and situation that you encounter today and every day. And now, remembering that we are all one, let's embrace our unity and repeat this for all beings. May we be happy. May we be safe. May we be healthy, well, peaceful, and strong. May we see God in every person and situation that we encounter today and every day. Let's rise up. Rise up and remember. Rise up and remember God. Rise up and remember who we are. Rise up and bring a higher level of consciousness to remember that this too is God in each and every person, in each and every situation that crosses our paths. Let's just take that into prayer. I know that God is all there is. I know that that each one of us is the physical emanation, the physical representation and expression of this divine love here on earth. This divine love, which is more powerful than any other force known to man and beyond. I know that when we turn to this God, this spirit, this life within, that when we continue to evolve our own consciousness, to engage in our own spiritual growth, even when it calls us to acting in a higher consciousness than maybe we would like to be acting in at the moment, that we are ever evolving our consciousness and the consciousness of the world on that upward spiral of evolution, that we are taking ourselves and the whole world to a higher place, that we all come from this higher consciousness that we know is love. And that as we evolve, that we may come around and encounter hatred and pain, dis-ease, again at points along the spiral, but that when we do, we encounter them from a different place because we have moved ourselves into a higher place. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful for this teaching that shows us the way to this higher consciousness, and that gives us practical tools that we can use in our everyday life to move ourselves forward, to move ourselves upward along this spiral of evolution. I am so grateful that there exists a well of love, a well of light, a well of that divine spark within each and every person, each and every sentient being on this planet. Cats, dogs, lizards, people who have different views than I have. They are God too. I'm so grateful to know that God is in the midst of each and every situation that I encounter, and that we can always lean in. We can lean in to that spirit, which is love, to show us the way through, to guide us more toward the lightness of being, toward love and peace and joy than maybe we're feeling in any moment. And remembering the truth of all of this, and that as we expand our mind, as we expand our consciousness to accept more and more of this, more and more good flows into our lives. It uplifts our being. It uplifts the being of every person on the planet. And so I look forward to a day when the world is more and more and more lifted up in consciousness, the consciousness of God, of spirit, of love that rises in, through, and out of us, that imbues each of our thoughts and actions with love. Knowing that this love overcomes any shadow of pain, of disease, of discomfort, of anger, of hatred. And so knowing that, I know that all is truly well, that all is always well. And therefore I can let go. I can let God do God's work. And I can find my piece of that God to do my work as my expression of spirit here on earth. And we each take that, we each just let that flow from the divine spark of who we are. And all is well. And so it is.